once again, I am Bill Wordy. I'm the editorial director of Billboard. I hope you're not getting overly tired of me yet. Not yet, thank you. Good to hear. I heard some mixed results, so we'll try harder this panel. You know, just like last time, I mean, there's certain times when this job is way more fun than other times. The artist that I'm about to bring to the stage has won 5 Grammys, has sold somewhere in the area of 50 million albums around the world. Yeah, 50 million, that's cool, right? Currently on the Billboard Hot 100 with Your Body, a Max Martin produced track, which is setting up the release of Lotus, her eagerly anticipated next album, on November 13th. And if we're all being honest, if she had only ever recorded the song Beautiful, she would have been an iconic singer with just that. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinct pleasure to bring to the stage Christina Aguilera.
Hello, hello. Hi. Ooh, cozy with Christina.
Yeah, you get like the bear fur and the zebra stripes, and I just don't.
I'm cozy. Settling in to tell some stories.
Excellent, excellent. I feel like maybe I should do that too, like just kind of.
Yeah, let's cozy up together. Oh, yeah. I love the socks.
Well, thank you.
You're kind of like Jack the Pumpkin King skeleton, you know, like Halloween. I'm so excited.
I was going for that Jack the Pumpkin King this morning when I got dressed.
Okay. Just for me, because I love Tim Burton. Okay.
Excellent. So, Christina, this being a film and TV music conference, I think, and us not having a ton of time, and thank you so much for giving us some time today, I'd like to discuss the role that film and TV has played in your career, and just start maybe with some of the early moments, right? Like in the early days, you were on Star Search, and you know, you kind of use these sorts of shows to start to make a path for yourself.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I mean, I've always known. I mean, sometimes you just know what you're placed on this earth to do, and mine came easy through my childhood. You know, I've had sort of a chaotic past and upbringing. It sort of music sort of came to me as a form of release and escape, and the only thing to escape that sort of chaos growing up. And so inevitably then you're just naturally going to stray towards that path. And my mom was very supportive. I started out as, you know, a wedding singer, singing at block parties, you know, 6, 7 years old. Then came Star Search. That was the first big break in my career at that time at 7 years old.
And at 7, were you? I mean, did you realize what you would accomplish? Were you super excited to be on TV?
Yes, we would watch, you know, Star Search all the time. You know, me and my mom and my grandma.
Ed McMahon was the bomb.
Ed McMahon, who couldn't say my name right. If any of you caught Leno, it was so funny. Aguilera, it was terrible. It was awful. Yeah, but I don't know. It's kind of funny that now I am on a show where, I mean, it's far beyond what Star Search was. We're actual entertainers who do it ourselves, go out on the road, and you know, it's great to be a coach and have that, which comes as, you know, takes us full circle to The Voice. But after Star Search, I ended up losing, and you know, didn't work for me. But then came the Mickey Mouse Club, which I think was more famous for me after, you know,
By the way, I have
ended.
to interrupt you. If Star Search was really good at any one thing, it was making the biggest musical stars in the world lose when they were 6 or 7. Like,
yeah, they did, right?
Like,
the other
like Justin
people that
Timberlake,
were on too.
like Loser.
None of them went on. Britney was on
Britney,
too.
Loser.
But we all went on to the Mickey Mouse Club, right?
Yeah.
And
the great
you know,
redeemer of careers, Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, and Ryan Gosling and like so many amazing people have come out of that show. So great casting agent. First of all, I think his name was Mike Casella. I still remember his name. Because I was devastated. I tried out for that show when I was 9, and I was too young, I guess, and they held on to my audition tape and had me re-audition when I was 11, 12. And I made it. And, you know, yeah, at the time there were other Mouseketeers that didn't make it. There was Jessica Simpson who didn't make it, but like was still a part of that whole casting process. So it was amazing. And if anything, you know, that show, of course, it taught you work ethic, you know, giving you schedules, this and that. But because I was around so many other kids my age, and I wasn't used to this because I grew up in an area where I felt very outcasted or bullied a little bit or you know, just I didn't feel truly accepted because of my love for entertaining, and all I wanted to do was be on that stage, and and finally I was with my people. There was Brittany and Justin and all these people that were so passionate and wanted full-on careers in this business, and we were just friends, and it was just really, really nice, to have that experience. And then of course burlesque, The Voice. I don't know where you want to go next.
Well, I think the place I'd like to go next is actually the Disney movie Mulan. Yeah. Which your first hit in the big mainstream hit, I believe, was the song "Reflection" from Mulan. Yeah.
Yeah. That after the Mickey Mouse Club, I think everyone was out shopping for deals and whatnot.
So how did that opportunity first come to you? How was it first presented?
Well, I met with one A&R who was particularly interested in me, Ron Fair, who's still a dear friend of mine to this day. Our kids go to the same preschool, etc. And yeah, he just got me. I came into his office. He's a very serious, intense personality, and I love that about him. He's just so passionate. He's so full of passion. And I went into his office. I was, shaking like a leaf. I was so green, even though I had Mickey Mouse Club. I mean, this was the real deal. This was the record deal, And so I walked into his office, and I remember he was like, "Sing for me," and I'm like, "Okay," and this little office, and it just. Whew, it was a lot of pressure, but I whipped out, Whitney Houston, Preacher's Wife, gospel songs, and just went for it, and in his office, and belted them out, and that stayed in his mind. For then, I think the opportunity of Mulan, someone approached him. Whoever was doing this, I think his name was Matthew. I forget what his last name is. Matthew something. Hey, Matthew Wilder, thank you. Matthew Wilder, who was...
I told you this audience is serious.
This sweet little guy. No, it's great. So I'd already been back, I'd met with Ron Fair already. I went back to my hometown of Pittsburgh, where I was just kind of waiting and hoping for any phone call to arrive to give me the record deal, because I'd met with a few people who passed on me, but now... But now I'm glad that Ron signed me. And he was like, can you belt the high E above middle C? So I had to do an audition tape in my bathroom, and tape at the time, right? So now you just iPod it over or whatever, and now it's just I had to cassette tape it with a little tape recorder in my bathroom for the acoustics and the sound and whatnot, just to prove. And I did it with a Whitney Houston song, "I Want to Run to You," FedExed it out to him. And the next thing I knew, they were flying me out to LA. And that week, I got a double deal, my record contract, and I got the Mulan soundtrack all in one. So it was a 2-in-1 situation. It was really, really my dream come true that week. And then everything started going.
Yeah, that's a pretty good week. So you took an acting turn. You mentioned this earlier, but you took an acting turn in burlesque. Mm-hmm. And the reviews were generally pretty kind to your performance. Kind to your performance in some ways than they were to the movie, which is you want for them to love both, but better they love your performance than
it's true.
Not.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you take out of that experience? What did you learn? Do you want to do more acting?
So much. I do want to do more acting. I would want to do something where I could really sink my teeth into something a little bit more challenging and gritty, outside of myself, outside of music. I took.
You feel like it wasn't a super stretch to play a singer?
No.
Yeah.
Haha, yes. But I sort of had this personal aspiration to do film, but I said I never want to do a musical. I don't want to do that route. It's too much like myself. If I do it, I want it to be honest and genuine, and in expanding in my wings and doing something really, really different. A crackhead on the street, or a drug addict, or something crazy and meaty and juicy, and something that really took me outside of myself. And Allie, that character I played, actually did sort of take me outside of myself, because it made me revisit a time when I was so green and wide-eyed, and she was so vulnerable, and sometimes I just wanted to slap her and be like, oh, come on, have some balls or something. I mean, she just, she was so naive and so young and youthful, and I think that was what the character wrote for, but I was inspired to do it. What made me want to do it was Stephen Anton definitely knew how to win me over with doing the role. He wrote in my favorites, Etta James, to cover. The musical numbers were all, I am a good girl, this little Parisian, French little burlesque thing. And I just come off the record Back to Basics, which was completely inspired by 20s, 30s, and 40s era sex and sound. So he knew what world I was living in and what I appreciated. So I was able to tap into that performance-wise very, very well. But I learned so much. I mean, you know, that wasn't an easy set to be a part of. There was a lot going on. I think all the divas were definitely not me and Cher. It was definitely the men that can sometimes be the most divas on those kinds of sets. But Steven was very gracious, and he was very, you know, he knew it was my first film, learning lines, the whole thing, even though I'd learned lines for skits and I'd hosted SNL, and that was very great and a beautiful, amazing time in my life. It was just like, you know, this was a movie. So I liked it, but at the same time, Ali got really, I felt very confined, because I'm used to coming from the music world where I feel very free and very open, and I personally come from an honest and genuine place, and then to go into acting, you definitely have to put yourself aside and get into a character and a role, and that's the way I wanted to do it anyway. I didn't want to play it so cliche, even though some of the writing might have been woo! But no, it was an amazing experience. And Cher was,
next time you'll have to do the writing also.
Cher was really great. Cher was she was very kind. She was a good actor to learn from and have girl talk time with, and it was great. It was a beautiful experience in my life to be cherished.
What's maybe one piece of advice, if you boil down the conversations that you were able to have with Cher? What's maybe one piece of advice you took away from that? She taught me how to sort of look, you know, sort of what I didn't know is for your off-camera scenes to be just as good, if not more of an actor, to give to the person that you're in the scene with, because it's just going to make the whole thing better, you know, to really be a giving actor. And I didn't know what that meant, but it's true, you know, being on the other side of the camera where you're not in the shot, like why would you care, but really it makes for an amazing scene, and you start to understand and appreciate the beauty of film and the passion and the love that goes into the whole process and the craft of it, which was nice, a wonderful learning experience. Very cool. I mean, I'm just curious, you and Cher have in common maybe the fact that, you know, you're both phenomenally talented at what you do, but you've also both been in the public eye for a long time, and sometimes I think you feel the benefit of that, and sometimes you feel the glare of that a little bit. Mm-hmm. I would think that Cher would be a good person to get advice on that notion from. Do you talk about that at all? Like how do you turn it off? How do you?
In that regard, we talked about relationships a lot, actually.
I don't know that Cher is the first person I would get relationship advice from, but that's fascinating. Oh, come on, that's not mean.
It's kind of funny, but
that was like getting career advice from Bootsy Collins early. I mean, it was like.
No, but it's talking about experiences, things you can relate to, being like a woman in this industry, and you know, just speaking about that for a second, she does have, you know, it's hard being such a powerful woman in the business, and you know, I'm known for not always being, you know, kind of. And I learned early on, you can't always be warm and fuzzy because you'll just get bulldozed right over. You know, being in this business so
young. Are you saying
young,
you're known for being less than warm and fuzzy sometimes?
Sometimes, because you just learn to put up this little protective like shield. Because I think the most sensitive people in life sometimes are the ones that come off a little more guarded or cold, but it's because, you know, it's because of something. And I think in my music I come off as being very open about being insecure and vulnerable and sensitive sometimes, but then I'll go on stage and, you know, be this powerhouse force to be reckoned with. But those are part of such important parts of my personality to balance, I think, for them both to be so great. You know, to be so vulnerable, wear my heart on my sleeve, allows me to feel so passionately and feel things so deeply. But getting back to that, yeah, she, you know, knowing what it's like to be such a strong woman. Guys are intimidated by that. Guys don't want to hear that. You know, if you're too aggressive and assertive and know what you want, some people don't want that opinion. They, you know, they want to just bitch. You know, it's like
we can talk. It's totally fine.
Yeah. Hey, I'm open. I'm an open book when it comes down to it. But yeah, you know, and it's easy, you know, to get so hurt and taken advantage of, even more so if you're a female in this industry. So yeah, we had a lot in common in that regard. But career advice, you said? I think I covered that almost.
Yeah, no, we're
two
good.
in one.
I mean, you actually beg the question. I talked to Demi Lovato about this just a little bit earlier today, and we definitely don't need to get into any of the specifics of the crap that's out there, and that's not what this interview is about or what this crowd is about. But does the tabloid kind of stuff, does it get into your head sometimes? Is it easy to shut it out? Does it become an interference with the creative process sometimes? Because I think you are. I mean, most artists are sensitive people.
Well, I'm in a position at this point in my career where, look, I'm a mother, I'm a businesswoman, I was a zillion and one things going on in my head, on my plate, creatively. I put my son to bed, then I go right into my backyard, which is my studio house. I then try and get enough rest so I can wake up with him in the morning, the school, then I go, do hours on The Voice. It's a lot. I don't have time. I really, truly don't have time for the static noise. And I realized this a long time ago. It's just like, getting caught up in that. It's just not real, and honestly, they're not real magazines. It's trash, and it's somebody's rumors or opinions, and it's static noise. It really is. Yeah. I don't really look at the good, and I don't look at the bad. If my son has a cute picture of him playing soccer one day or whatever, I'll be like, oh, forward me that to my publicist. But my publicist can tell you, she's like, she never wants to know the good or the bad, because once you start believing that stuff, even if it's good, I don't want to ever believe my own hype. I want to stay hungry and stay eager, and I want to be the best that I can be. And I think that's able to be accomplished by staying on your toes. And then the negative, I don't need to look at, honestly, sorry if anybody is out a critic or reviews or this and that. And then now everyone's a critic. The blogs, things like, blog is not even in my vocabulary. I don't read those things because, it's just some God knows who and I don't know, buttfuck wherever writing, hate shit.
Buttfuck, that's very quotable.
I don't know. It's real talk today. But so
it's super real talk.
You can't take it seriously. You can't take it seriously.
Yeah, that's okay. You guys can clap for buttfuck. Yeah.
I'm sure you've all been hated on by one or two people at some point, by buttfuck people, so.
There's no buttfucks in this room, so it's cool.
No buttfucks allowed today. No, but
we screen for that. It's a question on the application for the conference.
But it's people that hide behind their computer. Oh, here I go off on a tangent. And what are you really doing with your life, really? So I try to come from a really heartfelt and genuine, honest place with my records. That's why I don't dish them out like Pop-Tarts, every few months. I take time in between records and think about what I have to say, the person I've become since the last time I was out, live life, experience new things. And that's why Lotus is so amazing, because my experience as a coach on The Voice.
You've been in this loop now where you're seeing a lot of singers and a lot of performers kind of come and you're being able to give them a lot of feedback.
Yes.
How has that made you think, if it has, how has it made you think differently about your own performance and your own singing?
This year it's especially interesting and exciting. I've completed 2 solid first seasons, and the only 2 first seasons of the show, and here's why I even wanted or was interested in doing this. I wanted to do something that could, because I do like to take time in between albums, that would take me outside of myself for a second, experience something else, so that, of course, I'd have new material for my records. But I believed so wholeheartedly in the passion, or in the format rather of the show, the blind audition process. I was like, oh, another music show? I don't need that. Why would I need to do that? And then I saw a clip, Mark Burnett, who's been fabulous. I love Mark so much, dear friend, at this point, and totally had my back and giving me a break and letting me be an artist too, so that we could then come back and be relevant, even better coaches on the show, coming with more experiences. But I went into it, blind auditions, taking it back to real music. I needed to do something, at least if it was, going to be TV, that was going to be real and touchable and honest. And I was like, I'm not doing it if we're going up there and we're going to bash people and make fun of them because we want ratings and all this shit. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to support talent. I want to, and I think all 4 of us, Adam, CeeLo, Blake, we all went into it holding hands together like it was our passion project.
More Ed McMahon than Simon Fuller.
No, neither. Although Ed's, I don't know, Ed couldn't get my name right, so I can't defend him today. But
wherever you are, Ed.
No, but Now you're confusing me. But being a coach on the show has then inspired me. This season in particular, I have a predominantly young pop-driven team who are so eager and so excited to learn. And the way it went down this season too is we have people coming in from like Fame School and whatever's out there. I don't know everything that's out there, but they come on, and it's like, coming from that background of Mickey Mouse Club and like, zing, here's my smile, turn it on, and all this stuff, and that campground, I've learned then coming into my own as an artist and as a woman, you take that experience because it's good for like press and whatnot, just to get through the work schedule and whatnot when you have to, do liners and things like that, like, hi, you're watching da-da-da-da, that personality. But then as an artist, forget all of that. And it's nice for me to be able to share that with this upcoming crowd that they're trying so much to emulate, the singers that they love, which is amazing. I have them come up and tell me, this team in particular this year is so young, and I won't take offense to that, but I grew up on your I grew up on your music. I love your music. I grew up trying to emulate your notes and execute the runs and belt the high notes, and to me that's just so amazing to hear, because then it takes me back to the place and time when I was just aspiring to hit Whitney's notes or Etta James's belts and that rasp in her voice, which is not about, and I tell the singers this all the time, it's not about hitting a note or this and that. It's about the emotion in it. And that comes later with time, I think. And what I try to help them understand is finding your own signature sound, not trying to really be like someone else. But I was inspired to now put out Lotus. And there's a few key songs on that record that some of them stay true to my pop roots. It embraces being a pop star, where after my first record, I was like, I'm over being a pop star. I just want to do my own thing. And this, and I have to do something real that I can feel. And that's why Stripped was called Stripped, because it was stripping myself down of everything I didn't feel was honest or real. And coming full circle now, over a decade in this business, I've had the Greatest Hits album, having been through many highs and lows, so much to say. It's a celebratory time in my life, though, where Lotus helps me to express that, and the key songs that I've dedicated truly to that next generation of talent and that next generation of singers. This time around, I gave them more to do vocally, and it was important for me, even though doing a Max Martin song, which is, it's great. He does what he does. We've come full circle, both of us, I think, to appreciate each other from a distance, to come to have a respect level for each other in what we do, that he let me still shine vocally, to, I hope, inspire that next generation. And these 6-year-olds who weren't around when I had Genie in a Bottle and, the Fighters and all that, they're coming up watching me in this big red chair, give advice. And it's so exciting for me to now show them what I do as a vocalist, as an artist, and share with them. I wrote a song called Army of Me that's like the 2.0 fighter for this next generation of 6-year-olds, to inspire them, because the world always just needs raw, genuine talent. Because there's a lot of auto-tune now going on and things like that, and that's all great, and that's, I think, an art form of itself to be appreciated. But
it just might not be the singer's art form.
But to
might be
real
the producer's
singers,
art form.
It's just so amazing. And that's what's so great about The Voice and the blind auditions and all that. No judgments, no commercialism, packaged up, made to look all cute and pretty by the label. It's just raw, real talent and voice.
I have to be fair. When I gave, when LA and Demi were on stage, I gave them a chance to share their opinion of The Voice, and so before I tell you what they said, I'm just wondering. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on the X Factor.
I mean, I know you're all laughing, and I guess I see why. I just
No. It was actually, well, I won't say anything.
No, I mean, honestly, I have not. And you guys are really not going to believe me when I say this, but I swear to God, I hope you understand that I'm an honest person by now, and I really am an open book. I've not actually seen an episode of any of the other music shows, a full episode. I saw the commercials of I kind of saw the commercials early on of No, American Idol, of like Simon being a dick in the commercials and the whole thing. And I was like, man, that's not what music's about. That makes me sad. And so that's why I was kind of turned off by the whole thing, just by seeing the commercials and stuff. And I was like, I don't like treating people like that.
It's what you didn't want to do.
That's why I did want to do The Voice, to show that we can be positive and we don't have to knock people down. And thank you. And you don't have to knock people down, and you can, thank you, and you can, you support the music business. So support the business in general. It all works hand in hand. Look where Jennifer Hudson came from American Idol and went on for Dreamgirls and won an Oscar. I mean, that's amazing. If we just supported more talent like that. But getting back to that, I haven't seen a full episode. I'm sure they're doing a good job, but I don't know enough about it to judge. I know that we all have different formats. I know nobody has the blind auditions, and the big red buttons and chairs. No, but I mean, good for them. If I don't know what they're doing on the show, but I'm sure I don't even watch my own show, and that's the God honest truth too. I tape it. I'm out. I'm like, time to be mommy and time to work on my record, and then of course invest time in my team, picking songs, etc. Like, I juggle a lot, so I don't really have time for much else.
What friendship have you formed, or who's become your closest sort of friend on the show between Adam, Blake, and CeeLo that maybe you didn't expect to sort of form a bond with?
All of them. Yeah. All of them. Honestly, we've got a chemistry like a family. Sometimes, everyone knows me and Adam bicker and like can get on each other's case and whatnot. I think when I came on the show, I didn't realize how actually competitive he is. So I was like, oh, hold up, wait, what? Like, oh, salesman. And then it was just like this thing that was ongoing and kind of fun. CeeLo is just cool, and he's just comes from a real artistic, I think, value place. And Blake is just a good old time. Blake is just sitting there with his drinks and his, running his mouth. And he's actually become, maybe it's because he's the closest to me, I don't know, but him and I, he's my big bro, and he has a song on my album called Just a Fool, where we have a duet together. It's my first kind of country soul attempt, so it's really exciting. But he makes me smile and laugh like no other, and he's got my back and I have his back, and I truly adore Blake Shelton's shit.
There's a lot of in
a good way, in a great way.
There's going to be some beeping on this video when we run it.
Is this, wait, I don't know. Who is this filmed for? Who does it go to? Is this bad? I don't know.
It's actually a live feed on national television right now.
I thought it was like...
No.
Then there would be a lot of beeping.
No, it's...
no, I thought this was real talk, man.
This is real talk.
Getting comfy.
You're good. It's just us.
Okay. Well, no, I thought that's what you wanted to hear.
It's good. It's great. Does anyone think this interview isn't going well?
Okay.
So there's a lot of folks in the crowd that are aspiring, producers and composers and songwriters and artists.
Yeah.
You work with a lot of material, a lot of different songwriters. What's made great collaborators great over the years for you? What do you really look for, and like how do you work with people?
It's different things with different people. It's different chemistries. I appreciate realness, real people, real talent, real artists. I stray away from sort of the formulaic, sort of like, formatted, who's the hit maker of the moment? Let's go there. Like after my first record, I was kind of over that whole process, and I was very much getting my foot in the door for the first time. I wanted the label to sort of have help me, get out there, get my foot in the door. But then, I'm a message girl. At the end of the day, songs like Beautiful, songs like Fighter, other songs on my records, if you listen, they're very introverted and can be very vulnerable but empowering, and that's the kind of music I wanted to put out in the world. I was tired of singing about fluff and candy and genie in a bottle, and I didn't want to go the formula route. So I strayed away from, per se, going to the more formula dancey route, which is, the genius that Max Martin is, and that's his territories, to now be able to come full circle and, you know, respect each other to work now. But back then, you know, I went to the most unpop people. I went to DJ Premier, you know, to work on Back to Basics, because I loved his work with Gangstar, and I loved how he infused jazz and big, heavy hip-hop beats. I worked with, on Bionic, I worked with amazing, I was being inspired by the future. I just had my baby. I felt like all Bionic woman. I was like, women can do anything. We give birth. Look at us. We're amazing. And I went into this whole, like, being inspired by the future and electronica music. So I went underground, and I worked with Ladytron, and I worked with La Tigra, and I worked with Sia, who had come from 07. I worked with a then upcoming Nicki Minaj. You know, it was just like I went for a little more underground approach, and I just wanted to experiment and, you know, make this futuristic sound. It was a more artistic record than commercially driven record. But, you know, that's the stuff that gets me off. And so working with producers that are willing to take the risks, that are willing to understand your creative headspace. Going into working on each record, I had the vision of, like, Back to Basics, 20s, 30s, 40s inspired, Bionic Future inspired, you strip down, really raw, organic, more of a real approach with songs like Beautiful. Going into each record, I'm a very mood board visual person. So I would put together sort of what I wanted the album packaging to look like, certain songs that were inspiring me to fit this concept and vision that I wanted. I would put together musical mood boards and CDs that I would then send a producer package to and say, get into this headspace, get into this world. This is where I'm thinking, and it made it easier for some producers, but some producers just kind of like, okay, yeah, you know what I mean? They're so set in doing their own thing. But I think something amazing can be birthed whenever, you know, you're just open to the experience and you're open to the joy of creating something new and something wonderful and not so maybe cliche or, you know, trying to be the #1 hit on the charts and this and that. Like, I just, you know, the songs that I love sometimes are the B songs and what some people call filler songs, which I hate the word filler because it's just, that's a word I think used for people that really make filler songs. That, you know, like make songs to fill an album, but everything I do comes from heart and whatnot. My favorite people to work with, Sia is one of them. She comes in, singer-songwriter. She just writes the most beautiful, amazing ballads. Now she's, you know, making a name for herself on a more broad commercial scale with a lot of more dance-driven stuff, and she's just an incredible singer. But she came in, and she just is this, she writes such serious songs. I was like, oh, she's going to be this serious person. And I'm nervous to meet her. And, you know, I just want her to get me and understand, you know, I'm not a cheesy pop star. And, you know, and she comes in and, you know, because I want something real and depth. And she's got that. And she came in and she's all nervous and she's the most bubbly person in the world. But once she starts singing and getting into her thing, you're just sucked into this world of like, wow, it's inspiring to be around real creative energy and people that exude creativity and passion for what they do. I love that. That's the best experience. You know, sorry, I know we're running out of time, but when you're running, I know I've had bad experiences too. There have been people in the room that, you know, I've been in the room with like wannabe Max Martins who, like, you know, they've been in the room with Max maybe and they try to emulate what he's doing and his sort of sound, and then they try to take themselves too seriously and they come in and they're like, you know, this is how it should be. I was like, oh, okay, can we get a key change? What can you try it like this first? Like da-da-da-da. And I'm all good. I love collaborating, obviously. I collaborate with people every record. I collaborate with new people. I love bringing them in. I love co-writing. But yeah, it's just like they were trying to be bigger than, you know, they were. And I think there's something to be said. Like, I had to get my foot in the door. I had to play the game at first, the Genie in a Bottle and all those songs that were great for that. I thank God for them to give me the creative freedom now. But, you know, egos too soon are just so yucky. I just, you know, I don't like them. Just, you know, I just think that you have to eat some humble pie before, you know, and earn the hard work. I've worked a long time. I've been working basically since I was 4 years old and grown up in this business, grown up in the spotlight. You take a lot of hits, you know, in the public eye and all that. It's hard. So the people that make it easy and make it fun and enjoy the ride and have something truly great and creative to offer and to give and to share and to be open with. That's what it's all about to me.
Do you know when? Yeah, that's a great answer.
Thank you.
Do you know when the magic has happened? Like when you're in the studio and you know, someone plays you "Beautiful" for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Were you just like, that's it? That's.
Yeah, it was very important for me to write on my stripped record because obviously I had things to say that were personal. But when Linda Perry brought me the song and I met Linda Perry is one. She's a amazing artistic energy to be in the same room with too. She's raw and she's real and she intimidates a lot of men, very grown men.
She intimidates me just on Twitter, to be honest with you.
Oh God, does she have a Twitter? God knows what she says on Twitter. Woo!
A lot of crazy shit. No, she's kind of awesome. If you don't follow Linda Perry on Twitter, I recommend it.
She's amazing. She's amazing. So yeah, I was having a really bad day. I came into her studio. It was at her house at the time, before the success of Beautifuls, and I think Get the Party Started, which had just come out. And I worked with her. I was working with her on a bunch of stuff, but she was like, "You're having a bad day," and she just kind of sat down at the piano in her dining room, and just kind of started like, every day is so wonderful. Suddenly it's hard to breathe. It was just very simple. It was very. Thank you. It was very.
That's powerful. I mean, we're sure.
It was very simple, and like, how powerful. First of all, are those lyrics? I mean, it's really empowering to be able to say, I have insecurities. It's hard for me to breathe sometimes. I can't take it. Like I feel ashamed, like those are really big statements. I have a song on my new record called, I did with Sia called Blank Page, actually, that reminds me of the vulnerability of Beautiful. But yeah, Beautiful was just so, it was.
Is it also a ballad, Blank Page?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. And Beautiful was just so, obviously when you hear it, you just get sucked right into it. I think it's just universally relatable to everyone in every situation who feels like an outcast or feels maybe not so comfortable in your skin all the time. And it's so empowering to own your insecurities and embrace your imperfections. That was also the first time that she was like, why do you try to do all those frills and all those, what do you call them, ad-libs and all this? And I'm like, well, I love soul music. That's what I was raised on, and that's what it feels good to come out of me. And she's like, yeah, don't do all that Mariah shit. I want you to try and like, no, but this is her talking, not me. I love that shit. But she was like, yeah, don't be doing all that acrobatic shit. She's like, come on, just sing. And let's just, so Beautiful ended up being like, and it was more
I love that the
scary.
person who wrote that song also apparently curses like a sailor.
Oh my God, Linda Perry? Yeah. Wait till if you all have the joy of meeting Linda Perry. She's an amazing person to be around.
We had mentioned, just a couple quick questions, then we'll maybe take an audience question or two. You mentioned, I was kind of joking about Linda Perry on Twitter. Do you engage with fans that way? Like, are these social platforms, are they important for you as a way to like kind of connect with fans, or is it something that you have to be kind of careful with because you can get a lot of feedback and maybe some of it's not the feedback you really want?
I haven't even thought about it too deeply like that. Honestly, I'm not trying to age myself, but yeah, I've been in it over a decade, and when I first came out, there was no such thing as Twitter or Facebook or even the paparazzi being at the level that it is now, and the tabloids being, just so nasty, or blogs, like what is that? Like that's all happened really recently over the past maybe 5 years, to be honest, at the height of that, I think. So it's something that, I sort of live in my own creative world and cave and with my son too, that's a hat that I wear that's decompartmentalized from the artist me, wearing the videos, being sexy and whatever, and expressing my sexuality as a woman, which is a part of a very big, important part of myself as a woman and as an artist to express that. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, I was just wondering if you... You can just keep going. It's all good.
Sorry.
I was kind of wondering about...
Why do I even need you here? And I'm like, anyway. I'm just kidding. No,
I'm sad.
Making a
sad
joke.
Bill Worthy.
I'm making a joke.
We put you on the cover, man.
I love it. And you always have been very supportive. Yeah, I love you guys.
So it's all love here. It's cool.
It's all love.
So no, what I was what I was asking was like some artists love engaging on Twitter and really like
Oh, right,
hearing
right,
from
right.
fans.
So,
and,
social media. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting back to that. Yes, Creative Cave, the whole thing. And again, when you get too into that, it becomes like then you're interested in reading what people are saying about you and this and that. I find it at this point, well, first of all, I opened a Twitter. I was really late to it because I really just didn't care. I was like, to me, it was presented like, this is what I'm having for breakfast this morning. It's like, who cares, like really? Like, do I really need to like open up like that? But then I realized, there are times, I said something on Twitter the other day because seeing people's, I love the creative process so much. I hate the numbers factor after it of like, oh, who gets what credit and people want, a percentage of this and that all the business stuff like really bothers me and annoys me. And it takes all the beauty out of creativity.
That's why you pay Irving Azoff.
Well,
he finds creativity.
Irving's
in those
been
numbers.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, he has been able to give me this. The voice,
the freedom not to worry
the freedom,
about
yeah. But being able to share moments where it's like, you're having a bad day, and it's like being able to be like, greed is a fucking ugly thing. You know what I mean? And I said something the other day on Twitter, and I was like, oh, this is what you can use Twitter for. So I might have opened up a whole new can of worms, right? An appreciation for it, and you get to share with your fans. But I just didn't want anything to be generic because I find some people to use it just so, I don't know. It's just frivolous in a way.
Your fans on Twitter are bananas, by the way, because
I need to give them more. I know.
No, they really they crave it badly.
I know.
They found out that I was doing this Q&A, and I've had like a steady stream of feedback from your fans, but it's great.
Amazing.
I mean, it shows how much.
Well, I opened it up too. I said I was late on the game because I had to do it for the show, The Voice, because it's very social media driven, with the votes and things like that,
sure.
and so I opened up myself to that world then. But I think it'll be really fun once I'm on tour. Actually.
And one last question for you. The album, Lotus, is coming out November 13th.
Yes.
If you want to give folks maybe just a little, not that any artist should explain their art, but if you want to give folks a little preamble or a tease of what to expect or what you'd like them to think about hearing it.
Well, Lotus, I chose that word. Yeah, I've been through a lot over the past couple years, coming off of burlesque, going into sort of record mode. But after I did that movie, I sort of needed a moment to digest and to process and then be myself outside of the character that I played, Allie. Because I'm used to being myself all the time. So stepping outside of myself for that long of a time period, because it was a lot of musical numbers, so it was a long shoot. It was a lot, so I needed a second to get back to me. So that's why I also took The Voice. It keeps me in LA. I don't have to travel, and it was a wonderful opportunity of a show. Mark Burnett was so warm and amazing. So I took The Voice, and yeah, a lot has happened between experiencing being a coach on The Voice. I went through a divorce, so all of those things over the past few years, coming from, growing from, learning from, having a few, setbacks maybe, the press not being so kind over, the past few years at one given time or another. We had that little anthem mishap. And I brought it up, not even you. No, but, and shit happens, man. Stuff happens. This is the business. It's not going to be all cute and pretty and tied up in a good little bow. Not if you're like, you're living life. And I've lived my life a long time under this microscope in this weird world. The older I get, the weirder it is for me to understand, how odd it really is to be in this position, because you're living your life like everyone else. It's just, especially now that I'm a mother, because you're taken away from a little bit of superficiality with everything, and it's you're a mom at the end of the day. But all of that combined is in Lotus, and it's embracing the woman that I've become, the woman that I've grown to be, and embracing myself full circle as a pop star. Being on The Voice has made me realize it, and being being face to face with my superstar little pop star team I have this season on The Voice has been inspiring and inspires me. It's made me come full circle, appreciate the journey of the last decade plus. and embrace the woman I am. And artistically, I chose Lotus because it represents the unbreakable flower that stands the test of time, that no matter the roughest of weather conditions or the toughest of times, it remains strong and continues to thrive. It's a nod to my fans who have been here with me the whole journey, and a nod to myself and embracing myself and appreciating. On the cover, I'm sort of coming from this white light that's blown out, and I wanted my hands to sort of be extended, sort of open and embracing the positive white light. I don't have any time for the static noise, and it's a record of freedom and embracing that, and hopefully inspiring others to be their very best. As I said, the next generation of singers, and it's very artistic at times, it's very fun at times, it's very free, and I just think that's how music should be and how life should be, and away from all the negativity. So I hope you guys enjoy Lotus when you hear it.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I think we have time maybe for just a couple of quick questions. We have a hand that's going bananas in the back there. Let's get a mic over.
Hello.
There you go.
Hi, hey, girl. Hi,
No, up here.
Christina.
Hey.
You're amazing, and I've just admired you for a really long time. My question is, so I manage an artist, and similar to you, she's kind of like lives by her own rules, and she's super talented and amazing, but sometimes, like, I have a business, kind of edit for her, and it's hard for me to approach her and be like, look, girl, this is amazing, everything you're doing, but like, we need to cut this song down, from 4.5 minutes to 3.5 minutes because
Right.
it's easier. So how do you, what's your advice on kind of approaching somebody like that? Since
What's
you-
the best
two of
way
you
for
are
someone to
kind
come
of
to
similar.
you and-
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Has she had an album previous? Sorry.
She's had an album that she put out herself. We
How
just
old is
signed
she?
her. She's 30. Well, she's turning 30, so
Yeah,
it's
so
like
she's a woman that knows what
yeah,
she wants.
exactly. But and I want the best for her, and she's amazing. But sometimes, she doesn't understand like the business end of things, and
I
there are
understand
certain
that.
ways.
You're right. You're right. I can only speak for myself, and I had to pay my dues, and I had to pay my own dues, and let someone else steer the wheel for a second. Going into this business can be really scary, and if you want to be too tough, too quick, and say, I have to do my own creative thing, I think that, there's a give and take in that for sure. I hope she's giving a little bit with you, because if she's not, she's just gonna, I think, dig herself a little grave too soon. I'm not going to say grave. That was maybe harsh. I don't know. I'm very just direct.
She needs to
and-
listen to you or she's going to die. That's
I'm going to come to her door myself. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And you need to make her know that. Let's
No, but I think there's something to be said, and sometimes too, some things just aren't going to happen. Like even certain musicians that I love, and you want to sample a piece of their music, and sometimes it's just not going to get clear. Sometimes it's just not going to happen. So. You have to just have it. I would say be really, direct and be really honest. I appreciate directness and honesty, and with a gentle, warm fuzziness too, because I have so much on my plate and it's so overwhelming. But your girl, it sounds like she's still trying to get her foot in the door. So I think there is something to be said too with being able to cut an artistic vision down to being at least get your foot in the door so that the people in the offices will hear it, because they're not going to spend time listening to the art of it for like 10 minutes long. They're just not, when you're trying to get your foot in the door. Once you're in and you want to make that statement to your fans and do things to free yourself, that's one thing. But yeah, she's got to have some give and take, and I would just say be open with her, be honest, be like, look, I think you're great, I think you're amazing. These are our options. Let's have your artistic version, and let's have a version that is strictly for playing the labels and blah 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 blah. Right?
That's a great idea.
You know what I mean? So let's have both versions, and we can always extend it later for the album version, right?
Let's take maybe one more question. You asked a question earlier, so you lose. Maybe right here. I'm just trying to spread out the wealth. That's all.
I'm going to be quick, I promise. Hi, Christina.
Hi.
I wanted to ask you, I'm a female producer in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what has been your experience working with female producers?
Producers in the studio or producers like in film?
In the
or-
studio, not film and TV.
In the studio. You mean you get behind the computer, you do the Pro Tools?
Yes, you do the keyboards, you do the programming, you do the mixing, mastering.
I mean, that's
recording,
amazing. I
everything.
mean, females, I'm more used to working with female writers, co-writers. I do a lot, actually most of my co-writing with females. So I'm used to being in a studio environment with another female. I have no issue with that. I have no problem with that. I don't know, do you get problems from people or?
You would probably.
Well, you know, there's Linda Perry. She's a female producer. She's one that, you know, wow, she does do it all. She didn't know anything about Pro Tools and like taught herself. She went in there, you know, after Beautiful. She plays every instrument. She is just a songwriter. She comes from the heart. She's, you know, she can be very intense energy. And we definitely have butted heads, you know, from time to time. But that's just going to happen sometimes in the creative process and in sort of being in that pregnant phase before you birth a masterpiece and something amazing that you're proud of. But my experience, I don't think it has any difference. I mean, to me, but I'm a very open-minded person. I hope you're not having any problems with that. But good for you. You know, I think.
The only difference is you have to work twice as hard, which is fine.
And I think, and people don't want to sometimes have females as leaders. I know it's annoying, but it's just the way it is. You know, a lot of the times they don't want to take direction from a female, and you have to sort of, you know, hold your own when necessary. And you know, it's all a give and take. You know, you don't want to also, you know, while you're still trying to get your foot in the door, you know, push it down too hard. 'Cause you don't want to scare anybody too much. Linda scares some people to death. But no, I think there's a give and take. Use your instincts. You seem like a smart woman, and you know, do what feels right. You know, I think the world needs more female producers. That would be amazing.
Christina, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Christina Aguilera, ladies and gentlemen.